Bonjour. So, we're going to go over this PowerPoint. We're going to be talking about ancient French history here. So, it can be kind of complicated. So, that's why I wanted to narrate, because usually we would go over this together, but we're going to kind of go over it like this. So, Gaul, which is what ancient France is. When we're talking about Gaul and ancient Europe, we cannot think of it as we do today, as different countries, kind of as one thing. It used to be very tribal, right? So you had lots of different tribes, so that's what we're going to see. So what is Gaul? The region inhabited by ancient Gauls. That comprises modern-day France, parts of Belgium, Western Germany, and Italy. So the Gauls were the people that lived in this society, and they were in several different classes, or tribes, I should say. They were a Celtic race. They were an agricultural society. So that's why we call ancient France Gaul. They are Gallic, okay? So here's a map. You can see it's slightly different than what the current structure of France looks like today. So if you look where it says Gaul Transalpine, so that is a cross. And then if you see Cisalpine, that's on the other side of the Alps. So Cisalpine means other side of the Alps. So that part of northern Italy encompassed Gaul as well. So the Punic Wars, les Guerres Puniques. So I don't know if you talked about this in history class. They were a series of 3 wars fought between Rome and Carthage. So Carthage was also known as the Punic Empire, which fell to Rome in the 2nd century. It is now some ruins in Tunisia. Okay. The reason we're talking about this is, again, we have different parts of Europe that are more predominant than France is. Okay, France, as we know it, doesn't come along until much later. So these are the Punic Wars. This is a map of where you have purple. That is the Carthaginian Empire. So we have the bottom part of Spain and the northern part, the very, very northern coast of Africa is the Carthaginian Empire. In red, we have the Roman Republic, okay, which is all of Italy and soon going to be parts of France. So you have Rome and Carthage fighting a lot. So you can see in purple, Carthage has way more territory, including Corsica and Sardinia, which is Corsica is now a French island, technically, and Sardinia is an Italian island. So they were fighting these Punic Wars. Then we have this guy, who we'll see a picture of next. He is Hannibal of Carthage. He is a Carthaginian general and statesman who commanded Carthage's main forces against the Roman Republic. Scipio Africanus is the one that defeated Hannibal, and Carthage fell to Rome after that. You get stories of him being one of the greatest military commanders in world history. He is the one that they said, put vinegar on the rocks in the mountains to cross, etc. So you can read through this, and you can know who he is a little bit. This is a photo of, well, not a photo. These are artistic renderings of Hannibal of Carthage. So we have the First Punic War. Remember, these are a series of wars. It was the first of 3 wars fought between ancient Carthage and the Roman Republic. And they were the 2 great powers, like we said. The territorial changes are important here. You have Rome annexing Italy, except for the Kingdom of Syracuse, which was on that previous map. And it takes place in the Mediterranean Sea, Sicily, North Africa, Italy, and Sardinia. And remember, Sardinia is an island. And the result is the Romans won. Okay. The Second Punic War, also referred to as the Hannibalic War, right? So again, these are wars between Carthage, or the Punic Empire, and Rome. So these territorial changes were the annexation of Carthaginian Iberia. So Iberia refers to Spain, okay? And the result was a Roman victory. This slide is pictures of the ruins of Carthage, which is essentially all that remains of the Carthage Empire today. This guy is very important. So when we get into the early beginnings of France, we have Vercingetorix. Vercingetorix, which is kind of a difficult name. This is a statue of him. He is not technically French, he's Gallic, okay? He belongs to a tribe in Gaul. So when we talk about Vercingetorix, he is known for doing something very important. So we know that Rome has defeated Carthage, right? They're expanding their empire. He is the chief of what's called the Auvergne tribe, okay? So he is born in Guerres, France, okay? And this is BC. So this is before Christianity, before Jesus, all that. He was a king and chieftain of the Auvergne tribe. This is the important part. He united the Gauls in a revolt against Roman forces. So France, or Gaul, is very splintered and tribal. He is the first one that kind of unites all the tribes to say we need to push back against the Roman forces. So that is why Vercingetorix is important. Then we talk about Caesar in Gaul. So this is where, if you go to the south of France, you will see lots of Roman ruins. So Rome pushed into Gaul, the Gallic kingdom, and started to they did some interesting things here. He treated the Gauls very generously, leaving their cities with a lot of autonomy, or kind of left to their own devices. So he secured a lot of allegiance, okay? But in doing that, he's also taking over, right? They are now considered Roman territory. So yes, he's giving them autonomy and they're avoiding battle, but at the same time, he's taking over. Okay? So we talk about Germanic people, right? So Germany did not become its own country until much, much, much later. So these are also called Teutonic peoples of Indo-European speakers of Germanic language. English is a Germanic language. The origins of Germanic people are obscure. It's kind of hard to track, okay? They are believed to have inhabited southern Sweden, the Danish peninsula, and northern Germany. Cimbri is a Germanic tribe whose military incursion into Roman Italy was thrust back in 101 BC. So again, it's tribal. This is the theme that we're seeing. Now, you may have heard this word before, Goth. It is not referring to somebody and their attire being dressed all in black. These were a group of people, the members of Germanic people, who had two branches. You had the Ostrogoths and the Visigoths. Remember, this is ancient history. Okay, this is a long time ago. The Ostrogoths and the Visigoths harassed the Roman Empire. They were kind of like a thorn in their side. This map is showing the expanse of the Visigoth kingdom and the Ostrogoth kingdom and their kind of migration, okay? So they were kind of a nomadic people and would travel around. So if you look towards up in the center here, where it says Vouillé and there's a big X under the Loire, that's France, okay? That's Gaul. Then down here where it says Toledo, that is Spain. So you have these Goths people migrating kind of all over the place. This guy, Diocletian, was a Roman emperor from 284 to 305. He rose to the ranks of the military, become Roman cavalry commander to the Emperor Carus. He is just another important military figure. Now, the Frankish Merovingians. These are traditionally reckoned as the first race of the kings of France. So this is where we get our first line of kings in France. So Frank, a member of a Germanic-speaking people who invaded the Western Roman Empire in the 5th century, dominating present-day northern France, Belgium, and western Germany. The Franks established the most powerful Christian kingdom of early medieval Western Europe. The name France, or Francia, is derived from their name. So we have two branches here when it comes to French royalty, essentially. You have the Merovingians and the Carolingians. So the Merovingians are the first ones. This is where we get our first line. And France comes from the Frank tribes, the Frankish tribes. That's where we get the name France. So when the Merovingians come along, the Merovingian dynasty, so to speak, this is where it shifts from Gaul to France. Okay, and then they start adopting Christianity. So we will stop there. Hopefully that gives you some insight into this period of French history, which is very dense. So we'll be going through it kind of step by step.